we have the James Gunn verse to look forward to,
Yes.
and we have a new Superman and a new Lois.
Yeah. Oh, you got muted.
Thought I hit it twice.
Uh,
Uh, with David Corenswet as Superman and Rachel Brosnahan as, that's just my guess about her how her name is pronounced.
I, yeah, it's either that or Bro Shannon.
Yeah, though I would think Bro Shannon would have two H's there,
Oh, okay.
but I've been known to be wrong before. If she
Well,
happens to watch this stream, I apologize in advance.
yes, I do too. We'll just
Now,
call
uh,
her Rachel.
so here's Rachel. I gotta say that she looks more like a Lois than Amy Adams did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both of them look like the characters, like how they're supposed to look.
Apparently, I read an interview with David. People have been saying that he looks like Henry Cavill for a bit, and he had in an interview years ago talked about how his dream was to play Superman.
Yeah.
Also interesting is that he is I don't know if he's Jewish or Jewish from what I read,
Yeah.
but uh, that's kind of appropriate given that the creators of Superman were Jewish and Superman is Space Moses, so
Yeah.
that has some cultural connection.
Yes.
Uh, People might know him from
Uh,
Pearl, Look Both Ways, We Own This City, The Politician,
oh, he was in an episode of House of Cards.
House of Cards. People might know him from that. I don't because don't happen to have seen any of those. But
I watched it, but I couldn't tell you what season he was in or who he played. So
yeah, it is interesting how some of these actors, you look at some of their minor roles and you're like, oh, they left no impact.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Rachel is famous for the marvelous Mrs. Maisel over on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's yeah. From what I hear, it's a show about a housewife who becomes a stand-up comedian.
Yep. Um, and I'm going to just be honest here, having never seen it, I was surprised to find the actress is around 32 when she's been on it for a number of seasons, because I had assumed from the name of it that
Mm.
Mrs. Maisel would be like a 40 something who is getting her groove back.
Yeah.
Uh, I also know that people who work in comic books are watching that movie because or watching that TV show because there was briefly a Marvel comic called The Magnificent Miss Marvel. So
Yeah.
somebody thought they were being cute, just like I think they're being cute with their constant Game of Thrones references.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Let's look this up for a while live because I'm curious. How old is Amy? Yeah, Amy Adams is 48.
Mm.
Henry Cavill is also in his 40s, I believe.
I think he's right at 40.
Yeah, 40. Honestly, people are rightly upset about Henry getting mistreated by Warner Brothers,
Hmm.
but you see why if you're trying to make a 10-year cinematic universe that you kind of need a younger person, and
Yeah.
also in a world where the Flash opens to less than $70 million, you kind of need somebody who isn't on his like fifth movie in the franchise and his pay goes up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You want his pay to go up as with each successive movie that is hopefully gets in each successive movie gets more and more successful and makes more and more money.
Right. It's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out because uh, I have a mixed record on James Gunn. I like his Guardians movies, but I
Mhm.
wasn't able to finish uh, either his Suicide Squad movie or his Peacemaker TV show. just
Yeah.
because I got like this ugly, gritty feeling in my soul, which happens sometimes when I'm watching something.
Uh,
And it's just like, okay, this is too dark.
mm. Yeah, I agree. I enjoy the Guardians movies. I have not seen his Suicide Squad. I've heard mixed things about that movie. Um, haven't watched Peacemaker, so you know.
Yeah, John Cena makes a ridiculous, or a good ridiculous, uh, hyper or wannabe superhero who's actually insane.
Oh,
I would just say like I just got annoyed at the movie itself. It's
yeah,
and I,
yeah.
eh.
Mm.
So we'll see. Now, hopefully, James is writing in a mode that's truer to Superman than anything I've seen of him.
Yeah, yeah, because it takes a certain writer with a certain thought process to write for Superman and even and direct Superman. I mean,
Right.
I still maintain the quintessential Superman movie is Richard Donner's with Christopher Reeve. I think that still holds up pretty well in terms of a Superman story, and stays true to that character.
Yep.
There were some corny part. I mean, it does get a little corny, but I mean, it's still good.
The thing that kind of gives me hope is that the results from the different Spider-Verse, Snyderverse movies, uh, have to have been a message that was loud and clear. You can't have a Superman movie with the general feel of a Batman movie.
Right. Yeah.
This is a hopeful, happy character
Yeah.
who you can run through the ringer, but it shouldn't feel like it shouldn't. Like I remember like talking with a friend of mine about it, it's like watching Man of Steel. I just had like this sense of misery and or like everything was miserable in that movie. He was like, "Is that a problem?" Like, well, I like tend to like enjoying movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and the color the color grading on that movie didn't help either.
Yeah, there was a video where somebody kind of cheated and made the movie look darker than it actually was to correct it up to a
Uh,
brighter palette, but it was still a pretty grim or a pretty yeah, it was a grim visual style.
yeah. Yeah. Uh,
But
mm,
I'm trying to stay hopeful. This is one where I probably am going to intentionally not watch anybody talk about it
yeah.
because you know that we're going to get you know. Uh, Mind you, I enjoy Midnight's Edge. I'm a regular watcher. You know
Mm,
that you're going to get them getting rumors over the next bit before they'll hear about it.
right. Yeah.
Although, what's interesting now that I think about it is I think Tom was saying that he has not heard a single thing about this James Gunn verse because apparently he is keeping like the only people who know what is going to happen in that movie are him and God right now.
Well, I don't blame him. I don't blame him there.
No, because you guys admit that like imagine if the slate of Snyderverse movies had come out and we hadn't had leaks and backpedals and announcements that were withdrawn and everything, and they just
Uh,
come out on their own. They would have stood on their own much better.
yeah.
Really, the
Yeah.
biggest trick that Marvel pulled was that they made everybody think that you had to have a roadmap to have a cinematic universe when they didn't early on.
No. Yeah. No, at least not in phase one. Yeah.
Right? I mean, Phase One. You know, it was part of Phase One technically.
What?
The Swamp Thing movie that they lost $100 million on and shoved onto Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh wow.
Can you imagine the horrible circumstance they would have been in
Uh-huh.
if they had announced that Man Thing, excuse me, Man Thing.
Okay.
If they'd had Man Thing, excuse me, if they'd had Man Thing and he had been an integral character to their stated 5-year roadmap, just how much of a disaster that would have been.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would have been horrible.
They would have panicked. They would have overcorrected. They would have basically done what the DCEU did from day one.
Yeah.
Like as soon as Man of Steel didn't make $1 billion, they were in. Actually, as soon as Green Lantern bombed, and they repurposed Man of Steel to be their Iron Man movie, and it
Right.
didn't make $1 billion, they were in panic mode forever after.
Yeah, and went right into Batman v Superman rather than just introducing that version of that version of Batman first, and then that movie underperformed and was quite frankly underwhelming.
Yes. And it's not just that nobody went to see it. It had a huge opening weekend, then it collapsed.
Hmm.
Just not as bad as Flash, but and they would love to have that big opening weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a thought. Do you wonder if maybe the big opening weekend is a thing of the past? Because if you think about
Mm,
it, Avatar 2 and Top Gun 2 both came out to relatively low opening weekends and then legged out.
yeah.
Like I remember us talking at the time thinking that Top Gun opened a little bit softer than we might have expected.
Yeah.
Avatar, where I definitely thought it was a sign of their doom.
Yeah, I did too.
I hear you. Opening weekend 126 million. Boy, the Flash wishes it got 126 million.
Oh yeah.
And then Avatar came in a little under. I think it came in around right around 100 million. Okay,
134.
134 million.
Yeah.
Which when you were weighing it against a $460 million budget, seemed like that should have been a disaster. But it legged out 5.10 times here in the states and did 1.6 billion internationally.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the change that the Hollywood blockbuster just isn't designed to catch anymore. Is that people are being more choosy with the movies they see, and they aren't just all rushing out opening weekend anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Yeah, and I think they'll probably have to make some adjustments there because yeah, the days of like like Avengers Endgame doing whatever it did opening weekend, which like
I think it was close to 300.
yeah,
Avengers Endgame. Yeah,
yeah, three
357 million opening weekend,
yeah,
which is almost the entire combined national and international gross of Ant-Man Quantumania.
oof, oh man, uh,
Like uh, you see why probably why Disney thought they were unkillable because 2019 they had so many movies that made $1 billion.
yeah,
I would even say that the relative legs of Elemental are a sign that the word on the street is, yeah, it's just kind of okay.
yeah,
You know what? If you need somewhere to take your kids because school's out and you don't want to you want some air conditioning and maybe just to buy a big bucket of popcorn,
yeah,
kind of okay and harmless is okay.
yeah,
Also, I just kind of noticed that with her legs looking like that with the fire, it looks like she has some serious cellulite there.
oh yeah,
That's neither here nor there.
oof,
Unfortunate visual illusions.
yes,
Anyhow,
yeah.
I think if we're talking about fiery characters having fake cellulite, I think we're done with this topic.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh man.
But Hollywood's just going to have to embrace the suck for a bit and figure out what people actually want.
Exactly. Yeah.